I'm Kelly and I draw things, and this is a behind the scenes video on making a spring garland for my Patreon printable reward for May. My window's open, so if you hear birds, that's why. But I made a poll on my Patreon and people voted on what they wanted the printable to be. Since I was a little unsure, I've done some planner stuff and some calendars so far, but wanted to kind of shake it up. So there were lots of options, but the spring garland like really won by quite a few, probably double all the other votes. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I want to avoid doing like standard icons, so I'm not going to do a flower, I'm not going to do a bunny, I'm not going to do, you know, I don't know, a butterfly. Like I want to be a little more unique on that, but still have the spring like vibe. So I'm going to do some sketches in my sketchbook, and then I'm going to take it onto my iPad and finish it out, and then I will test print and see how it goes. Here's what I ended up with. I'm going to do a cat, which no one's surprised by, a sun, a rain cloud, a little rainbow, they all have faces, and then a frog and a little robin on a nest with 3 little babies that are poking up and just being adorable and funny. So time to photograph and take them on my iPad. So with these being printable, I need to think about what kind of paper formatting needs to happen to make it the easiest on everyone. A pet peeve of mine is when I have to print one little thing and I waste the rest of the sheet of paper, so I'm making 6 icons that each fit on half a sheet of normal letter size paper, because an odd number would leave a big empty half of a sheet, and that seems like a waste of space. So I have photographed these, separated them out in Clip Studio Paint, and now I'm going to think about the order I want them in, think about the colors, and kind of get a general game plan going while I refine the general shapes and forms of the sketches. So I'll do them all together first to make sure they're all cohesive and kind of a similar size and things like that, and then I will take them and format them to be half size on that letter sheet of paper, and then ink and color, and we'll be good to go. Something I really like about Clip Studio Paint, you can see that the underdrawing is blue, and I don't have to do anything special for that. It is one singular button on Clip Studio, so I always know I'm never drawing on my sketch layer. It is always separate, which if you've ever drawn digitally on your sketch layer and you're inking and you try to turn the sketch layer off but they're on the same layer, it's just kind of a sad moment. So this helps me avoid that happening too often. So now that I'm done inking, I am going in and putting colors in, keeping to my style. I want to do a very limited color palette. I did have green on the frog for a while, and then I ended up changing it to blue to make it a bit more cohesive and a bit more limited. And I think it worked out in the end. It made it a little more of a unit rather than 5 items that are all red, yellow, and blue, and then a random green frog. So it made them sit together a little bit better. Okay, so I have finished inking and coloring them. I've tossed them from my iPad to my laptop, and I'm going to open them in Photoshop and go back and forth from Illustrator and make those cut lines, arrange them so they print correctly, and then do some test prints. So I have a time lapse going on this part so I can explain what I'm doing, because it's a little hectic if you are just trying to figure it out from watching. So I've opened up my Clip Studio file in Photoshop, and I'm putting all of my icons on individual layers and then doing a threshold where it turns everything only white or only black, so I get really solid shapes out of my icons. Then I'm turning them into shapes in Illustrator and offsetting it, so I'm expanding the outside to make really clunky solid shapes, but then I can turn them into outlines. So I can turn them into dotted lines. I'm going to go in and clean them up a little bit so they're less janky. And then after I do that, I go in to add the hole punch holes. I actually ended up taking these off because I realized that I didn't like them. And so I spent some time placing them, and in the end I ended up deleting them. But now I can just select it all and copy it and paste it back into my Photoshop document and center it on the original art, and it'll snap to make everything centered and nice and neat, and now it has a cut line, which I think was way easier than trying to hand draw it in Photoshop and make it consistent. And then I repeat that step for the next 2 sets, so the last 4 icons. And after you do anything once, it's usually easier and faster to do it again. So doing it the second time for these was a lot easier. These were also less complicated shapes, so I didn't have to do nearly as much cleanup as I did for the first set. Again, I'm placing those punch holes, which I end up deleting later in Photoshop because I do not like them, because even in the route that I took, I ended up hole punching them completely different than I had originally intended. So I didn't want a red dot on the art in case someone wanted to use tape to hang it, or were just taping them directly to the wall or something like that. So to better not interrupt the art, I did away with the hole punch holes. Once I get them all centered and they look nice and neat, I cut them apart in Photoshop so they're all kind of on separate layers, but then still able to be grouped together. It doesn't change what it looks like, but it changes how the file works, and it makes my life easier later if I ever want to pull them out and do something later with them. For example, like make scene cards for the video. I can just pull them out individually. But it takes a little work to get everything named and not have layer 1, layer 2, layer 2 copy, and properly format them, which I'm trying to get better about, but it definitely isn't a habit yet. I have to remember to do it. And then after that, I type out some instructions to make it easier for people. I do end up coming back and editing these later because I typoed a couple times, I realized, after I printed it. So they end up a slightly different, and I add a step, but basically the same. To print, you can use any paper. I'm using cardstock. It is cheap cardstock from Amazon, but any paper will do. You can get as fancy or as unfancy with it as you'd like. These are my printer settings I'm using. It is heavyweight paper, and I'm printing through Photoshop. Hey, so they printed super nice. Like, look at that color. It's practically the same that's on my screen. Like, it's nice. So now I'm going to cut them out and string them. I'm using yarn. You could use something fancier like cord or ribbon or woven friendship bracelets, you know, like whatever, some sort of string. And then I don't know really how I'm going to attach them. There's a few ways I could do it. I could hole punch them. I could just tape it to the back. I could do all the different things. So I'm going to kind of spread them out and see what order I like them in and think about how I want to attach them. So a fair warning when you make yours, allot plenty of time to hand cut things. I forget how much time it actually takes, but it feels better than just pressing a button on machine and having it do it for you. It just feels like there's more heart in it, and it's nice. But what I did end up doing was I cut them all out, and then I hole punched the sides so the string would string through the back and then they would face forward. Something I learned that I would do for next time is leave little tabs on the side so I don't have to hole punch through the art. So if you want to leave yourself little tabs, just don't cut all the way to the line on the left or the right. for like 1/4 of an inch on these, you might be able to make yourself little tabs and not punch through the very edge of the art. Or you can say, that doesn't bother me, and just do what you want. But once I got them all cut out, I grabbed my hole punch and did my hole punching, and then I strung them together with yarn. I ended up pulling out about 8 feet of yarn and then realized that's way too long. I only used about 5 feet, maybe even 4.5, but I thought it was a good idea to have more yarn than I needed and then cut it off rather than trying to tie it together later on. So let's have another chill moment, listen to some music, and hole punch together. And then I strung them along my yarn I had pre-cut before I hole punched. So because they're so light, they don't slide down the yarn. Once they're strung, they kind of stay there, which was nice. If you're using a different material where they do slide around and you don't want that, you could just put a little piece of clear tape on the back where no one would see it, and that way they'll stay on place on your cord or your thread or your ribbon or whatever you end up using. And ta-da! It's all done, and it's so cute, and I'm so excited about it. It just turned out so nice. Now where do I hang it? I have to go wander around my house. I'm thinking on my door. Maybe. I don't know, I didn't think this far ahead. Let's see where I hang it. So I ended up finding command hooks and putting them on the back of my door to hang this. I wanted to note, I understand my hair is falling out of its bun. I realize that now, but this is a all natural recording of the process. No embellishments here. Ta-da! He's super cute. Like, I put him on the back of my studio door, and I just love him. I didn't actually think I would like this much, so it's kind of like, I don't know, unexpected, but great. And now I'm like, I want to make him for Halloween and Christmas and other random holidays, like Earth Day just passed, but that would have been good too. But I think it's super cute and I'm really excited about it. Mine's very short. You could make it very long. I guess you could like print doubles of them and just make it go on forever. But I'm really pleased with this. This is great. I have to figure out how to photograph it. You'll see those at some point. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. It's dark right now. It's like 5:30-ish. So no, it wasn't. It was actually quite light outside, so I went outside and took some photos, and then came back inside and took some more and found some I forgot I'd taken while I was assembling it. So I actually have quite a few nice photos, and I think they turned out really nice, not only physically, but they were really easily photographed, which is sometimes hard with products, but this was great. So thank you for watching me make this garland, and I hope you download it if you are a Happy Cat tier or up on my Patreon. And thank you again for my patrons for allowing me to be able to do cool stuff like this. This is great. Hi! I just want to like look at it, but I need to look at you. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!